welcome back. This is part 2 of our Iman Gadzhi style animation series in DaVinci Resolve. Let's dive right in. Alright, so I'll keep the Iman Gadzhi style reference open in the second viewer so we can easily review the animation as we build it. Let's kick things off by adding a background node. To get that same kind of look, we need to change this background's type. Instead of solid color, let's switch it to gradient, and then change the gradient type itself to reflect. See how that gives us a color in the middle and then the other color on both sides? Now, to match the reference colors, I'll change the middle color stop to a dark red, and then set the side color stops to black. After that, I'll play with the gradient's mapping angle just a bit to try and have the same look as Iman's version. Now, for that bright highlight look often seen in the top left, let's add another background node. Make its color a bright red this time, and then select that background node and add an ellipse mask node right onto it. So after you connect the output of this bright red background node to the output of our main gradient background, go ahead and drag this merge node to the viewer to see the change. You should see a circle of red. First up, let's fix the edge by grabbing the ellipse mask and increasing the soft edge quite a bit, then adjust its position to move it up towards the top left corner. To maybe match that red color a bit better, let's tweak the brightness of our main dark red gradient, just increasing it a touch. Okay, I know, this probably isn't the way you might normally make this if you were going full 3D. Using actual 3D lights and shadows gives you really realistic results and can be faster if your system can handle it. But my PC isn't exactly high efficiency, and doing it that way will cause serious lag for me. So this method, while maybe taking a little more setup time, takes way less processing power for my PC. So let's continue this way. Select the last merge node we made and click the Image Plane 3D icon in the toolbar. Then, click the Camera 3D icon, click the Renderer 3D icon. Connect the output of the Renderer 3D node to the Media Out node and drag the media out to the viewer. So now, you'll probably see nothing. To fix this, select the Camera 3D node, swap over to its Transform tab in the inspector, and increase the Z translation value. Pull it back to maybe around 4. Then, to fix the background so it fills the screen, select the Image Plane 3D node, go to its Transform tab, and first, maybe decrease the Z translation values and then increase the scale until it fits the viewer nicely. Now, let's add those glowing balls we made before. But first, let's get organized. Select the background node and press Ctrl+space to search about the underlay node. Just pop that underlay in, change its name to something like Background Setup, and pick a color for it. Okay, now let's return to making the ball effect. Actually, I already built this exact effect in the previous video, part 1, so check that out if you want the full details on building the ball itself. The key difference this time, bring it into this 3D dimension. So, add an Image Plane 3D, connect your ball effect to its input, and then connect the Image Plane 3D's output to the Merge 3D node, and in the inspector, go to the Transform tab and change the position, X, Y, and Z translation, to match where you see it in Iman's style. To make positioning easier, you can turn on the 3D grid overlay in the viewers and try to scale it so it looks roughly the same size in both your main viewer and the reference viewer. This helps you change the position values more easily. And remember, to make the ball appear smaller or larger, further away or closer, make sure you adjust the Z translation value, not the actual scale value on the Image Plane 3D itself. So, for the second ball, I'll just add another Image Plane 3D to the workspace, connect the same ball effect output to its input, and then connect this new Image Plane 3D's output to the existing Merge 3D node. So we have the same looking ball again. Now, just adjust the X, Y, and Z position for this second ball as you like. And just do the same process for all the balls you have. Add an Image Plane 3D for each, connect it, and position it in 3D space. After that, one thing I might want to do is add a touch of blur before the balls enter the 3D space. You could add a lens blur node right after the final merge node of the ball effect. This can give the balls a slightly softer touch, so they don't have super sharp edges in the 3D scene. But again, if you want a potentially better-looking depth of field effect integrated with the 3D camera, check out the methods I explained more in the Part 1 video. Okay, let's quickly organize again. Select all the ball nodes and press Ctrl plus space to search for the underlay node, add it, and change the name and color as well. Right, let's move to the second major step, adding the first text element. Start by adding a text plus node and write your word. In my case, it's the number 8. Now select this text plus node and click the image plane 3D icon to add one for it, and then connect this output to our main merge 3D node. So now, I'll start with that initial zoom effect. Select the camera 3D node, then press Ctrl plus space to search for a transform 3D node and add it right after the camera 3D. Now, I'll go to the very first frame and put a keyframe for the translation Z value on this transform 3D node. Then, I'll scrub forward to the frame where the zoom seems to stop in Iman's edit. Find that point. And around this frame, decrease the Z value on the transform 3D node, pushing the camera closer until the background balls get roughly the same apparent size as the top ball in the reference. This time, I'll select the text plus node itself and increase the size parameter until the number 8 fits the screen nicely again. After that, let's style the text. Swap over to the Shading tab, change the appearance from solid to outline, and then decrease the thickness value as you want. Next, to make it glow, select your text plus node and add a soft glow node after it. Adjust the glow size and the gain as you like until it looks good. You can toggle the soft glow node on and off to see the before and after. I think this is looking good, so let's move to animating this text element itself. First up, we have the fade in effect. Go back to frame 0, select the text plus node, find the opacity slider, put a keyframe for opacity, and make the value 0. Then move forward about 10 frames and change the opacity value back to 1, setting another keyframe. For the rotation, go again to the first frame. Go to the Layout tab, find the rotation parameters, and put a keyframe for the Z rotation value. Change this initial Z rotation value to determine which side you want the angle to start from. Then, go forward to around frame 20 and return the Z rotation value to 0, setting the second keyframe. For me, maybe I want the angle to start the other way, so I'll return to frame 0 and change the Z rotation value again. Okay, so now, open the spline editor. Select all the keyframes we just made for the text plus node, right-click, go to Ease, and choose Ease Out Cubic. This way, the animation will start fast and end slow. Let's fix the camera zoom smoothing also. Select the Transform 3D node we added after the camera. Open the spline editor again, select its Z translation keyframes, right-click, and make the same steps. Ease Out Cubic. And now you should have this nice, smooth animation combo. Now for the text appearing behind the main 8, let's add another text plus node and connect its output to the output of the soft glow node that's after our main text plus node. You'll see the merge node show up automatically. Select this new text plus node and write your word in it. Then change the font. I'll use Behance Neue here. Swap over to the Shading tab, change the type to Gradient, and decrease its alpha value all the way down to 0 to make it transparent. Then move the white color stop further to the left to adjust how the fading looks, creating that soft edge effect you like. So after having this faded shape effect, let's make the animation for it. In the Inspector tab, right-click on the text input box itself, where you type the word, and choose Follower. Now go over to the Modifiers tab that appears. Change the timing delay value to something like 0.2.
Then swap back to the Shading tab, go to around frame 10 on the timeline, find Opacity, put a keyframe, and change the value to 0. Then go forward just one frame and increase the opacity value to around 0.4. Next, go forward another 10 frames or so, maybe frame 21. Put another keyframe in opacity, still at 1.4, and then go forward one more frame and increase the value all the way to 1. So now you have this cool two-stage fading animation where it partially appears, then fully appears. That's cool, but let's make it better by adding a glow effect that kicks in with the second stage. Find the gain parameter, set its value to 0, and put a keyframe. Then go forward about 10 frames to frame 31 or so and increase the gain and maybe the glow size as you want, creating another keyframe. So that looks better. Now, let's make the second zoom effect. Select your first Transform 3D node, the one after the camera that did the initial zoom. Go one frame before its animation ends. Now, add a second Transform 3D node right after the first one. On this new Transform 3D node, put a keyframe for the Z translation value at frame 19. It should be 0. Then, go forward in time, maybe to around frame 35, and increase the Z translation value, pulling the camera back, until the apparent size of the text/balls looks roughly the same size as your background ball on the left in the reference. While you're at frame 35, also add another keyframe for the Y translation value and adjust it until you have a nice composition, maybe lining up the three main elements, the two texts and the ball. Or you can make this animation look however you like, so don't feel you have to copy the reference exactly. So if you notice any issues with the background image plane 3D getting cut off during this zoom out, just select that first image plane 3D node, the one for the main gradient background, and adjust its Z value or scale slightly if needed. Okay, now select the second Transform 3D node again. Use the little arrow buttons next to the timeline to jump back to its first keyframe, and make sure to return the Y value back to 0 there. After that, open the spline editor, select all the keyframes for this second Transform 3D node, right-click, and choose Ease, this time in cubic, making it start slow and end fast. Now for a fading out animation effect during the zoom, let's add a background node into the workspace. Connect its output to the output of the merge node you have. First up, select this new background node and decrease its alpha all the way to 0 to make it transparent. Then, select the new merge node that was just created, and put a keyframe for the blend slider. Then go forward to around frame 30, partway through the zoom out, and decrease the blend value down to around 0.2, creating the second keyframe. Oh, and make sure the transparent background node is connected to the background, yellow input of your merge node. If it's connected to the foreground, the blend won't work as expected. If it's wrong, just select the merge node and press Ctrl+T to swap the inputs. And for a smoother fade, select your merge node, open the spline editor again, select the blend keyframes, and just press S to apply default smoothing. So you should have this effect now, which looks pretty nice. Let's quickly select all the nodes involved in this first text effect, and press Ctrl+Space to search for underlay to get organized again, changing the name and color as well. Now let's move to the second text element. Drag a new text plus node into the workspace. For this text, it's actually two words, or rather, one word that changes. So in this first text plus node, type the three words low, mid, and high, each on a new line so they are stacked vertically. Then add another text plus node, and in this one, write the word ticket. Now, connect the both output text node to merge it. Then drag the merge node you just created to the viewer so we can see the change in how the text looks. Now select the first text plus node, the low, mid, high one. In the inspector, go to the Layout tab and change the center XY position to line it up nicely next to the ticket word. Make sure the high word has enough space vertically where it needs to end up. Then adjust the Y position so that initially only the low word is aligned with ticket. Now go to around frame 55 in your timeline and put a keyframe for the center Y position value. Then move forward about 15 frames to frame 70 and change the Y value, sliding the text upwards to make sure the mid word is in the right place next to ticket, creating a second keyframe. Then go forward another 20 frames or so to frame 90 and change the Y value again to fit the high word in the right place, creating the third keyframe. After that, to mask this so only one word is visible at a time, add a rectangle mask node and connect it to the mask input of the low, mid, high text node. Adjust the height and position of this rectangle mask so it only reveals the area where one word, low, mid, or high, should be visible, essentially framing the ticket word's vertical space. Then increase the soft edge on the rectangle mask just a little bit to give a slight blend effect at the top and bottom edges. When you're done setting that up, go and open the spline editor. Select all the Y position keyframes and press F this time to flatten the tangents. Then press Ctrl+T to open the Ease In Out section. Make sure the link icon between Ease In and Ease Out is enabled, locked, so they have the same number in both boxes, and then increase the value to around 60%. So now you should have this awesome text sliding effect. Let's now connect it with our 3D dimension. Select your merge node and press the image plane 3D icon. Then connect the output of this new image plane 3D to our main 3D merge node. Now let's bring the media out back to the viewer to see the whole scene. Make sure you select the new Image Plane 3D for this sliding text, and in the inspector, swap to the Transform tab. Change the translation values for X, Y, and Z to position this text element correctly in the 3D space, maybe matching the Iman edit or placing it wherever you like. But before that, let's make sure the font is the same as the previous text. So now if the words look too far apart horizontally, you might need to adjust the X position of one of the Text Plus nodes, or perhaps select the position keyframes and move them slightly relative to the ticket word position to fix the alignment during the slide. Okay, let's return to the Image Plane 3D transform and finish changing the X, Y, and Z translation values to get the placement right. So now if we play the animation, we should have it working in 3D space. Let's maybe quickly change the styling of our text, like thickness or glow, to match the previous 8 text element if needed. When you're done, make sure to organize these nodes by adding an underlay as usual. Now, if we play the animation, we might notice the low, mid, high ticket words appear right from the start, and maybe we don't need that. So just select the 2D merge node for this text element before the Image Plane 3D, and animate its blend value to make it fade in when appropriate. You might also want to do the same for the text itself using the opacity in the Common Controls section of the Text Plus nodes, maybe animating it from 0 to 1 quickly as the element fades in via the Merge node. So now, looking at the overall animation, maybe I don't like the speed of that second camera zoom we made earlier, the ease in cubic one. Let's adjust it. Just select the second Transform 3D node, open the spline editor, select its keyframes, and press S first to reset to standard smoothing. Now, and play the animation again to see the difference. Yeah, I think I like this speed more. But now, if you notice during the slide animation, maybe the mid word is showing a little bit when low or high should be fully visible. Maybe the mask is too soft. I don't like this. So just select the rectangle mask node connected to the low, mid, high text and decrease the value of soft edge a bit to make the transition sharper. Okay, now let's move to the very last text element. First, select your last Transform 3D node, the one doing the slow zoom out, and add another Transform 3D node right after it. This new one will handle the final slide effect for positioning. Go to the frame right after the low, mid, high slide animation ends. On this newest Transform 3D node, put keyframes for the X and Y translation values. Then go to the end of your animation timeline and change the X and Y values on this node to slide the entire scene into its final position, framing the shot right where you want it. And again, if the background gets cut off during this move, you just need to select that first Image Plane 3D node, the main background, and adjust its Z translation or scale to compensate. Then select your Transform 3D node you just made and open the spline editor and select the keyframe and press. Right-click, Ease, Out Cubic. Now let's add the final text. Add a Text Plus node and write your sentence in it. Drag it to the viewer temporarily just to make the adjustments. First up, let's decrease the line spacing, then change the font, maybe back to Behance Neue. After that, right-click in the text input box and choose Character Level Styling. Once you do that, swap over to the Modifiers tab. Select the text you want to style differently, like the bottom line maybe. Since I don't have thickness as an option for Behance Neue here, I'll just skip that and instead go back to the main Shading tab and maybe change the overall appearance there if needed. Then swap back to the Tools tab, Common Controls, and make that button fade in effect just like we did before. So when you're done with the basic text setup and fade, add a soft glow node after the Text Plus and adjust the values as you like. After that, add an Image Plane 3D node for this final text, connect it to the main Merge 3D node, then return the media out to the viewer. Let's change the X, Y, and Z translation values on this new Image Plane 3D node to position the final text correctly in the 3D scene. And, if you want, you could even select the image plane 3D for the big background ball, I8, and maybe change its position just a little bit more now to make the final composition look right. This really depends on your artistic vision. And let's make sure to add the fade-in effect for this last text element as well. Select your text pulse node and make the opacity from 0 to 1. And for me, just as a final touch, I want to add a drop shadow effect node right after the soft glow node on this last text, and then decrease the drop distance significantly to make it very subtle, just giving it a little separation. So that's it. We've built the whole sequence. See you in the next project, and don't forget to share and subscribe.